Hello, everyone. Can you see me? Can you hear me? So I have a hello, loud and clear. How is everybody doing on this Saturday afternoon? I see a couple messages. Hello, hello, hello. Or was anyone here last weekend? Or is this all new faces? Okay, great. Let me get started here. So we're doing a week 6 recap of the Diddy trial. The trial actually might be ending early. So the prosecution had one witness that was testifying on Friday. That witness is going to continue testifying on Monday. And the defense says that they probably need about 1 or 2 days to do their present their own case. And it should be over potentially this week or maybe early next week. Lily says that they were here last week. Hello. Winsler said that they missed last week. So I'm in this video. I'm just going to be going over what happened this past week. There was a lot of stuff that happened outside of the testimony. So I spoke about last week how juror number 6 was being dismissed because juror number 6 lied about their living situation. So when the jury pool is being selected, they have to answer a bunch of different questions about their professions, whether the information that they know about Diddy, about this case, and one of the questions that they're asked, which is a very simple question, is where do you live? Now, the juror said that they live in the Bronx. And during the course of the trial, I guess they were having a conversation with somebody who works for the courts, and they let it slip that they are actually coming from somewhere else. And I think they're coming from Brooklyn. I can't remember exactly where they're coming from, but essentially they gave a lot, like they told a lie. So they said that they were living in the Bronx with their fiance and their child, and the truth is that's not where they live. And so the judge had over the weekend reconsidered if he was going to remove this juror. And so on Monday, this person was officially removed from the jury pool. Now, this person was a 41-year-old Black man, and he said that he is a 90s hip hop fan. This is what he had told the people when he was being vetted to be on the jury. And so this is someone that the defense really wanted to stay on the jury because they thought he was going to be favorable to Diddy, but the judge let him go. I think if Diddy is convicted, this is going to be an issue that comes up during the appeal process because he's been replaced with a white person. So we had a 41-year-old Black man who says he's a fan of 90s hip hop. Well, that's what he said at the time. And he's now been replaced with a 57-year-old white man who lives with his wife and 2 kids in Westchester County. He's a manufacturing architect with a master's degree in mechanical engineering. And he said he has heard some media coverage about the allegations related to Diddy. Now, as far as the juror number 6 that was dismissed, now that he's off the case, all of a sudden, someone close to him did an interview with TMZ, and they're saying that he actually didn't really care to be on the jury. He wasn't trying to get on the jury. He's indifferent to Diddy. He doesn't even like hip hop. He's more into Spanish music. Al gusto reggaeton, al gusto bachata, al gusta. Right. So he's now all of a sudden that he's off the jury. Now he doesn't care. But it does appear that he tried very hard to get on the jury. So juror number 6 is gone. They have been replaced with an alternate, and something else also happened this week that caused a lot of controversy. So sometimes the judge and the prosecution and the defense have private conversations in the judge's chamber. And yes, there is a transcriptionist who documents everything that is said, but we, the public, are not supposed to know about these conversations if the judge says the conversation is sealed. And early this week, the judge was pissed because TMZ, there was an article in TMZ, I'll pull it up for you guys. There was an article in TMZ related to a conversation that was meant to be a private conversation. So let me just pull this up right here. So this is the TMZ article. So Diddy trial, juror gets mysterious text. Judge is worried he is blabbing. So Diddy's trial is on the verge of another jury shakeup due to one of them getting a strange text message that's left the judge with concerns this juror is talking about the case outside of the court. Now, this is very important. None of these jurors are sequestered. So they're not being held up in a hotel room. They're not being held anywhere. They're free to go home and have conversations with whoever. They're free to go on the internet. They're free to do whatever they want. However, the judge has given them instructions. You are not to talk about this case to anyone. You're not allowed to talk about it. If you are found to have been talked about it, you can get kicked off the jury, and it compromises the integrity of the case because the jury, in theory, they're not supposed to be hearing information outside of what is discussed in the courtroom. They're supposed to be all of the information that they're supposed to consider is only supposed to be what is discussed in the court, and they're also not supposed to discuss it with anyone else. But this juror, so what ended up happening was juror number 7 got a text message. Now they say they got it from a number that they didn't recognize, and this number was asking them if they're juror number 6, because all last week there was speculation about juror number 6 maybe getting kicked off the jury. However, we didn't hear until Friday what the reason was. So from Monday to Thursday, we had no idea what was going on with juror number 6. We just knew that there was something. And so someone texted juror number 7 and asked them, hey, are you juror number 6? Trying to get more information. And so juror number 7 brought this text message to the judge, and the judge and the prosecution and the defense had a private conversation that was sealed, but someone leaked the conversation to TMZ, and that's where this article comes from. And so the judge was pissed. And he's like, I'm going to take it out. Like, he's threatening to take their phones. He's threatening to find them in contempt. Like, first he asked who did it. Obviously, no one admitted to it. The prosecution said, I didn't do it. The defense said, I didn't do it. Everyone else who was present for that conversation said, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. So we don't know who leaked it. I suspect that the defense leaked it because one of the lawyers on the defense side is Tenny Garagos. Now, Tenny Garagos' father, Mark Garagos, has been on TMZ many times discussing the trial. He has a friendship with Harvey Levin at TMZ. And really and truly, the defense has something to gain from this happening. Because if there is any reason to believe that juror number 7 is having outside conversation, well, that is grounds for a mistrial. And the defense has tried very hard to get a mistrial. They've tried like 2 times already to get a mistrial. And the judge keeps saying no. So I suspect that this information was leaked to TMZ by the defense. However, they're not admitting it. And the judge said he's going to open an investigation into it. He was threatening to take their phones and make them testify under oath. So if one of them lies, then that's perjury and you're going to prison. So he threatened to do that. I don't think he's going to follow through with it. He basically said, if something happens again, you guys are going to be in some big shit. But so far, he kind of left it alone. So that's something else that happened this week. Hit that like button. Yes, hit the like button. Can I ask you guys? A lot of people they kind of make comments on the way I say the word button. I don't think I say it weird. Do I say it funny? I always hear people in the comment section commenting on the way I say the word button. Yes, New Jersey. So the juror actually lives in New Jersey, but they said that they lived in the Bronx. Yeah. Good. I'm ready to hear guilty on all counts. I'm with Pickle Daddy. I'm with you, Pickle Daddy. Antoine Foster, my first live. Glad to be here. I'm glad to have you. This is my second time going live. I'm still nervous. I'm still not I still haven't got over the jitteries. I'm so nervous. I'm so used to doing pre-recorded videos. But yes, let's go. So what else happened this week? Oh, I have a video to show you guys. So little by little, we have been getting exhibits that have been made public. And so this is something that the jury saw back when Cassie was testifying, but this week we got to see it. And it is a audio recording of Cassie cussing somebody out. So when Cassie was testifying, it was brought up that there was someone that she considered a friend. This person is a club promoter, and they had told Cassie, so this happened back in 2014, and they had told Cassie that they had seen a video of her being intimate with someone else. And Cassie was like, where did you see it? Like, give it to me. Give me information. I want to know everything about it. Like, don't play with me. And then the person starts, backtracking, and they're like, no, I didn't see anything. And so this audio recording is an audio recording that she took, where she's cussing them out.
I don't have to see it, but it's my life, and I'll kill you.
Yeah, but
no, I will kill you if you don't show me right now. I will kill you, and I will hide you, and I will cut you up and put you in the dirt right now. Pull it up. If you have it, pull that up. Because if not, I'm going to kill you, and then he's going to kill you again. So just do it. Pull that up right now. You got that pull that up. I'm going to kill you. You don't understand. I don't give a I've never killed anybody in my life, but I will kill you because you're with me. You're with me in my life right now. If I saw a video of you doing anything that you didn't want people to see, I would show you the video so you could tell me what the happened. You're playing games with me, telling me you saw some now you're saying you didn't see some you're with me. I'm going to you up. I don't think you understand. And it's not going to be my hands, and it's not going to be blood on my hands. Someone else is going to do it. So you have to tell me right now, and I'm recording this whole shit. FYI, tell me what the you're talking about. Because this is not cool. We're not playing. I'm not playing with you, Sujit. Like, you saw some Yes, you're my brother. Be my brother and tell me what you saw. You're going to be able to find it?
So that was the audio recording that the jury heard back when Cassie was testifying. We got to hear it for the first time this week. And I feel like a lot of the evidence, a lot of this trial is really up to interpretation, because someone could listen to that audio clip and say, okay, she doesn't really sound like this wilted flower, because a lot of people were saying that when Cassie was testifying, she was very soft-spoken, very just shy, because I mean, this is some very traumatizing stuff to be talking about. And then when you play this audio clip and she's cussing every 2 seconds, she's aggressive, she's assertive. So some people look at it as saying, well, this is a way to show the jury how Cassie actually was during this time. This person that you're seeing on the stand, this isn't how she is all the time. She's assertive. She can speak up for herself. She's not a wilted flower. Like, she's a strong woman. She could, if she wants to cuss somebody out, she can. And there's also the fact where she keeps threatening to have someone kill this person, and she's saying that she's going to have somebody else do it. And who's the most powerful person in her life? Diddy. Insinuating that Diddy is going to be the one to take this person's life if they don't tell her where this video is. So, I mean, it's you can look at it either way. You can look at it as though, well, she's not really afraid of Diddy if she's willing to use him as her attack dog. Or you can also look at it as she really didn't want this video to get out. And she was threatening this person. These were empty threats. She was threatening this person because she was very adamant on getting a hold of this video. And this is actually not the first time that there was conversation about one of her videos being leaked. Back in 2010, 50 Cent was on a radio show, and he said that he'd seen a video of Cassie. And at the time, 50 Cent was on good terms with Diddy. And so he reached out to Diddy and said, hey, I saw this video of your girl being intimate with someone else. Just giving you the heads up. And basically, Diddy was kind of like, he wasn't bothered by it. And 50 Cent said he got the impression that this video was circulating because of Diddy and not because of Cassie. And he felt like Cassie didn't look like a willing participant in the video. So apparently there's videos circulating around Hollywood of Cassie in these Freakoffs. And so, something I'll touch on a bit again later on in the video, but the jury got to see a lot of these Freakoff tapes. And they got to see them again this week, but they saw longer portions of it. And as I was like reading about it, I was wondering, like, because the jury is mostly men, and these tapes are very pornographic in nature. So I'm like, and I'm reading about it, and people are saying that these jurors are sitting there with their hand on their chin, watching these videos, and I'm like, is there a possibility that some of these men on the jury might be getting excited watching this? I don't know. I was thinking about that. I'm like, it's awkward. No one else in the courtroom was allowed to see the videos. It was just the jurors, and the jurors had headphones in, and people in the courtroom were saying that they could still hear like moaning and stuff like that because the audio was so loud on the headphones. So yeah, uh, just looking at the messages. Someone said you're doing great. Thank you so much. Linda, listen is back. Hello. We have man down. So Cassie was talking as she learned from the diddler. Yeah. I have a super chat from, this is from Roberto Pacias. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Oh my gosh, I love you. And the way you say, the way you say button. My mom was making fun of me for that too. I'm like, I don't think I say it weird, but thank you. Thank you for the super chat. This person said, nah, she sounded scared. Was that her actual brother? No, it wasn't a brother. It was someone she considered a brother. It was a club promoter who she had a friendship with. Love the intro. I would have done the same thing. She was emotional, and emotions were probably all over the place. Yeah. Right. Mom and Wife of the Year award here. A huge shot to her. Oh, incredible. Thank you. Anger, fear, anxiousness will make you act in a way that you don't normally do. I mean, really, truly, if a video, if I would, I mean, I wouldn't be in a video like that. But in the event I was in that situation, I probably would use the same type of words like, I'll kill you, give it to me right now. Yeah, well, anyone would be upset. Anyone would be upset being threatened that her video will be leaked. Well, her video was already leaked because that's how the person saw it. We all have said, I'll kill you, but we don't literally mean it. 50 said Diddy sent it to him. I recall that he saw it from someone else. He saw it from someone else, and then he brought it to Diddy because he's like, "Is this your girl? Like, like, are you serious about this girl?" Because there's a video of her circulating. Are the tapes blurred, or is it just straight up corn? I have no idea. No one else has seen them, so we don't know, and they're sealed. So no one is ever going to get to see them unless the jury, unless like the defense leaks it. So we're never gonna know. Michelle Schwartzman, you don't say it weird. You seem to have a subtle French. No, I don't have a French accent. I don't know. I just maybe I don't know. So yeah, so that tape has leaked. I also came across this video of Cuba Gooding Jr. So you guys all remember Cuba Gooding Jr. was listed in Lil Rod's lawsuit. Lil Rod was suing Diddy, saying that Diddy was being sexually aggressive with him. And he said that when they were in the studio working on the Love album, Diddy brought in Cuba Gooding Jr. And Cuba Gooding Jr. was getting a little fresh with him. You see this picture here of them in the studio. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s face is a little close to his. So in the lawsuit, Lil Rod alleged that Cuba Gooding Jr. was coming on to him. And TMZ actually caught up with Cuba Gooding Jr. and asked him about the Diddy case. It looks like he's in like a subway or something. I don't know where, like a subway station or like an airport. And he's like sitting on the floor charging his phone. I don't know where this man is, but look at this video.
Like the Diddy trial so far, are you keeping up with it?
It's a lot of information. It's a lot of information. I mean, how can you not keep up with it? You turn your TV on, you see it everywhere. But like I say, I pray for the brother, and I pray for the victims, and I pray for Cassie and her family. That's all I can do from a bystander's point of view.
Do you feel a sympathy for him?
It's hard to, but yeah, I feel sympathy. They say he without sin cast the first stone. Is that thing? I don't judge anybody, but it's like, I will say this. Back in the day, the studio system used to have something called the PR department, and they paid people to hide the dirty secrets of the celebrities.
Of course. It's almost like a Ray Donovan almost.
And one day, they went, you know what? Why don't we do this thing called a reality show and expose all the awards? And so they're making money off of it, and then now we're hooked.
Yeah.
We used to look up at movie stars and say, oh, I want to be Clark Gable, I want to be Sidney Poitier. Now we look and we go, oh, there's some dirty mother.
Yeah, so that was, I don't know where he was. He says he doesn't feel that bad. You were participating, Cuba Gooding Jr., and you have your own accusations. So, yeah. And the last clip I want to show you guys before I get into testimony is this is a clip from a 60 Minutes Australia episode from a few weeks ago. Now, Philip Pines used to be one of Diddy's assistants. and he's not testified in court, but he did share some of his experience working for Diddy in this episode, and a lot of what he said is similar to what all the other assistants have said. So I thought it's just interesting to hear it from one of his assistants' mouths, because we're not actually getting to hear it, we're just reading it. But this is someone who actually worked for Diddy who's saying these same things.
But the gloss quickly wore off as his tasks became more sinister. Phil was not only ordered to source a constant supply of drugs for Diddy, he was then forced to carry them around the country.
So we had a laundry list of items that needed to be with us at all times. You know, we'd have the marijuana joints on us. We would have the mushrooms on us. We had a kind of a Diddy pack is what they would call it. And we would keep a satchel on us, and that's what we would have in that satchel.
Always on call, Phil witnessed many things he now wishes he hadn't. He says he worked on the periphery of Diddy's now infamous sex parties known as Freakoffs, although he knew them by another name.
They were referred to me as Wild King Nights. And what a Wild King Night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil, Astroglide, candles, incense, liquor, lights, tons of toiletries, drugs.
Phil wasn't in the room for the parties, but he didn't have to be. He knew exactly what went on behind closed doors because one of his jobs was deleting the very incriminating videos of the Wild King Nights from his boss's iPhones and iPads.
I thought he was this clean businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and, smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks. It's every day, every hour.
Hey, yo, Phil, can y'all come straighten it up over here? Not looking luxurious.
The personal assistant also became the personal maid. Diddy's sex parties meant hotel rooms were often trashed. Phil was expected to get his hands dirty cleaning up, with the priority being to ensure no evidence was left behind. No secrets could ever escape.
Initially, when you walk in, you have to start to clean up the mess and the records that's left from the room. And that's the alcohol that's halfway open. Some bottles are cracked, glasses are cracked. There's baby oil everywhere on the floors in the bathroom. There's lube everywhere, half open, some of it oozing off the sides. And you have to get all that stuff, clean it up. Luckily, I would wear even a mask and I would wear gloves because it was disgusting.
Phil, what would have happened if you said to Diddy, look, that's just not my job, I'm not going to do it?
If I said that to Diddy, I wouldn't have worked there. They would find somebody else. He knows everybody. He knows what's going on behind the scenes. He knows every manager, every executive, every attorney. Everybody who's important in the industry, he knows.
And Puff, where did that come from?
I can't tell you that.
The implied threat was if you crossed Sean Combs, you'd never work in the industry again.
Yeah, so that's just a clip from that 60 Minutes episode. I was reading some of your guys' comments while that was playing, and someone said something very interesting. I think this is all about destroying Hollywood because we have now AI and the internet. They're using their pawns and their humiliation ritual of the Freemasons to sell the internet. Did you see that Fat Joe is being accused now? There's Tyler Perry being accused. Well, this is not the first time Tyler Perry was accused. Fat Joe, we have Diddy on trial. A lot of celebrities, especially of color, are being targeted right now. But not only that, there was also this big trial with Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively that's kind of destroying her reputation. It's affecting Ryan Reynolds as well. So, I mean, maybe there is something to that. Cuba acting like he doesn't know. What was Trump and Diddy doing together? That's an excellent question. Yeah. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. There are 50 minutes of fame. Fat Joe was openly sized. You think so? Fat Joe was open. I've know what I'll be honest. I've never really paid attention to Fat Joe that much to have an opinion on it. There's a lot of other celebrities I think are a bit sus. So yeah, so those are just some of the things that happened outside of the trial. Christina Karam is not going to be testifying. She's not testifying. She doesn't really need to testify because they keep presenting her text messages and voice notes that are related to her, so they don't really need her. There's no victim 5, so there was conversation about potentially bringing forth victim 5. Victim 5 would have had to testify without any anonymity, but no, victim 5 is not going to be testifying. Gina is still MIA. Gina didn't testify. This week, there was one day of court that was missed because one of the jurors got sick, and so they canceled court on Wednesday, and then Thursday was Juneteenth. So to all the Americans, happy belated Juneteenth. And so they only had 3 days worth of testimony this week, and a lot of the testimony was just summary witnesses. And a summary witness is really just someone who's summarizing information, like they create a chart and they go through the chart and represent the evidence, like text messages, like flight records, videos, all type of stuff is being documented so that when the jury goes to deliberate, they have all of these things in a nice organized chart so they can look at it again. So the first summary witness testified about a lot of text messages, call logs, audio files, and one of the text messages that they presented was from December 29th, 2019. And this was between one of the assistants and Christina Karam. So it says, quote, LOL, I saw one of the cowboys today. You can spot them in the lobby like an escort. I forgot to tell you about it, Lopez texted Karam. And then Karam texted back 4 laughing face emojis. By the way, how long is he going to stay awake? LOL, I'm guessing until tomorrow night, is what the assistant responded. Another text message that the jury got to see was Karam texting an assistant about getting $4,000 in cash to the hotel. So these text messages are very important because they're basically providing further evidence that Diddy was procuring, rhymes with Constitution, and bringing them to the hotel rooms. There was text messages about Christina Karam. She was texting assistants saying that the escorts were either waiting in the lobby or they were on the way. Text about accessing large amounts of cash ranging from $4,000 to $15,000. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the jury saw these Freakoff videos. And I was watching The Breakfast Club this week when they were talking about it. Why was DJ Envy so personally upset by this? They're talking about the fact that the jury's watching these videos and he's getting mad. He's like, but these are consenting adults. So you're just gonna play, pornography in the court and have them look at it? Why are you doing that? They're just trying to embarrass Diddy. He was getting mad like it affected him. I was like, sir, is there something you want to tell us? His response was kind of weird, and he just kept going on and on and on, like, this is ridiculous. Why are they playing this corn in the courtroom? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? And at first I was thinking, like, why are they doing this? Apparently the videos were 11, 12 minutes in totality, and both the prosecution and the defense were playing clips. So the prosecution, when they were playing clips, they would play 30 to 40 seconds, whereas when the defense would play clips, it would be 4 minutes at a time. I think in total they played 15 minutes worth of Freakoffs. That's what the defense did. And I think the reason there's this big discrepancy between how much footage was played by the prosecution versus the defense is because what they're trying to prove. The prosecution probably nitpicked little sections where it seemed as though Cassie was an unwilling participant, wasn't liking it. And then I'm sure the defense was playing long portions because they're trying to say, well, look, if you look at this for 4 minutes at a time, she looks like she's into it. She looks like she's consenting. She's a willing participant. She's, obviously I haven't seen the tapes, but I'm just thinking, why would the defense do that? And that's probably why they did that. So yeah, that's something that the jurors looked at this week. So let me just check out the messages. I saw a super chat come in from Michael Freeman for $19.99. Thank you so much. Please hit the thumbs up button, everyone. It drives the algorithm to drive more people into the stream. Michael Freeman just always has my back. Thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. And yes, please hit the like button. Like he said, it helps people find my videos in the algorithm. This person said, NissCee, you did a great job uncovering the Macrons. It was succinct yet informative. Thank you. I actually had a lot of fun making the video about Brigitte. If you guys haven't watched it, please go watch it. I actually had a lot of fun making that video. It took me a long time reading the book and like going on all of these forums and looking for additional information. But I think my theory makes sense. I think it makes sense. So I scrolled down to the bottom. Oops. But R. Kelly got OD'd by the prison and rushed to the hospital. His life is in jeopardy. He needs pardoned. Yeah, then there's R. Kelly. There's Tory Lanez, who got poked in prison recently. NissCee, Diddy was lucky that you that you never worked for him, because I feel that you would have been a force to be. Yo, I don't know. Here's the thing with NDAs. If someone's committing a crime, doesn't the NDA is null and void if the person's committing crimes? I would have been selling all type of information to the tabloids. Did he did this? Did he did that? I would have snitched. I would have snitched from time. R. Kelly's team tried to make my 13 and 14-year-old sisters to be dancers when he came from Fort Hood Family Day for Fort Hood Family Day in Texas back in the 90s. Oh, wow. Yippee says hi. Hi. This is a big chill because there's children still going missing. Yep. They are going to use this to implement their AI surveillance, which gives them total control and what is seen and what is not. I've been seeing some videos on Instagram that are so well done. It's scary. Because how are we going to know what's true and what's not? Like, these are like fake newscasts where someone is like in a flood zone and they're saying, I'm reporting from this hurricane. And then you see a shark go by. And then the AI person says, by the way, this is not real. And if that last part had been cut out, I guarantee you millions of people would have believed it was real. So it's very scary to see how, like, AI is not perfect right now, but we know in the next 10 years, it's going to be very sophisticated. And I also wonder, I'm going to get back to the Diddy trial, but I also wonder, like, how do we know they haven't been using it in the past? Because oftentimes the US military, CIA, FBI, they have access to technology for decades before they let the public use it. And they're letting us use this like pretty good version of it. So what do they have? I'm sure they still have something much better that they potentially have been using this whole time, and we had no idea. Dr. Karen Delcina Asmola says, was definitely here last week, and you did a fabulous job. Thank you, doctor. Does Canada have jury duty? Yes, we do. We do have jury duty. The Canadian justice system is very similar to the US, with the exception of Quebec. Quebec is more similar to France, but the rest of Canada is very similar to America. Okay, so going back to the text. So the jury saw text messages between like Fahim Mohammed, which was Diddy's head of security, Christina Karam, and then Diddy about buying drugs from a dealer named Guido. And they used the code word flower. So flower was weed. Cassie texted KK on one occasion, WTF. And then Christina Karam asked if she was okay. And Cassie responded, no, but you should talk to him. No one deserves being dragged by their hair. I locked the door for my safety. And she said that she didn't have her belongings or any money. Christina Karam responded that she would try to talk to Diddy and help her get her stuff. There was a lot of text messages between like Cassie and Christina Karam. Anytime Diddy did something, she would text Christina Karam. And it almost feels like Christina Karam was like almost like Diddy's mother. Like anytime Diddy did something, Cassie would go to Christina. Diddy took my phone, or Diddy took my laptop. Diddy locked me out. Diddy did this. Diddy did that. She would always text Christina Karam, and then Christina Karam would have to go and communicate with Diddy and said, hey, stop it. This is a very interesting dynamic for a grown man to have, especially someone who's supposed to be a mogul and a billionaire. The jury also saw texts between Jane and Diddy. So when Cassie filed her lawsuit, Jane read through it, and then she started texting Diddy about what she saw and basically saying that she felt gaslit. So these are the messages that Jane had texted to Diddy. Quote, I don't believe the lovey-dovey stuff. You don't need to go there for me. I was confused and couldn't concentrate for 3 years and feel extremely exploited, heartbroken, and manipulated by you. You're the only opportunist here. You exploited the F out of me. You win. 3 years of being used, and you had 3 years of fun with my body. Jane also texted Christina Karam a few hours later saying that Diddy was threatening to release sex tapes of her and send them to her baby daddy. Now, of course, they don't say the name of the baby daddy in court, but we know who it was. And I just want to say 50 Cent has been clowning his, baby mama, who may or may not be Jane, allegedly. Okay. He's been clowning her. But I was thinking about it, like, you literally have a song called Have a Baby by Me, Baby, Be a Millionaire. Like, these are the type of women you want. you like gold diggers. So why are you criticizing her for being this type of woman when this is the type of woman you said you wanted? I just think it's hypocritical. I'm just saying. There was a text conversation between Christina Karam and Diddy where she says, if you cannot be honest with me, this doesn't work. We all know what your kryptonite is and where you don't make the best choices. She said she felt like Combs was lying, and she said it wasn't sitting well with her. And then Diddy responded, come take my phone, I guess to go and see something in his phone to prove he wasn't lying. And Christina Karam responded that it wasn't about his phone. She said, if he was starting to lie, then that will just break me. So they had a very close relationship. The jury also saw text messages between Christina Karam and Brendan Paul, who actually did testify this past week. Do you guys remember when Diddy's house got raided and his drug mule was arrested? That is Brendan Paul. So in the messages, Paul's keeping KK informed about the escorts. Christina Karam warned Paul that he might need to do some King Night stuff potentially. So just honestly, they just went through like pages and pages and pages and pages of text messages, really and truly. I don't want to read all of them, but those are just some. They show text messages between D-Rock and Mia. Mia is one of the witnesses who testified, and it was D-Rock trying to get Mia to talk to Diddy. This was after Cassie's lawsuit, and this was during the FBI's investigation of Diddy. And so Diddy used his security guard D-Rock to be the middleman to go talk to Mia. He was trying to bribe Mia essentially, but Mia started ignoring him. So those text messages were presented in court as well. There was another summary witness who testified, and she presented a lot of flight itineraries, text messages coordinating Freakoffs, and records showing how hotels were booked and paid for. Now, this is very important. So, and I forgot to mention this as well. As far as the Freakoff tapes that were played in court, I think probably one of the other reasons that they were played by the prosecution is it just solidifies that, yes, this did happen. So you have text messages saying, like, for example, Paul's coming, text messages about Paul coming. You have flight logs about Paul coming. You have Cassie's testimony about Paul coming. And now you have actual footage of what Paul was doing once he got there. So I think that's another reason why they played the tapes. And as far as this summary witness presenting the flight itineraries and the text messages showing that they're coordinating, it's very important for the prostitution charges. So Diddy's been charged with 5 things. There's RICO. There's two counts of transporting a rhymes with Constitution, and then 2 counts of trafficking. And so they've already proven that he transported prostitutes. I was supposed to say the word. Anyways, they've already proven that. And this summary witness was just further putting the nail in his coffin that happened. And this particular charge, this conviction has up to 10 years. And so if Diddy is found guilty of this crime, which I think he will be, the judge has the discretion to do either a concurrent sentence or a consecutive sentence. Now, a consecutive sentence would mean, for example, if Diddy's found guilty on the 2 charges of transporting these constitutions, and let's say he gets 10 years for each one of those convictions. The judge has the option to make it consecutive, so he serves 10 years for one, 10 years for the other, and in total he's in prison for 20 years. Or the judge has the option to just put them together and say you're only going to serve 10 years, and then that's that. I don't know what the judge is going to do. I don't know. What do you guys think? If you were the judge, I would do consecutive because I'm petty like that. I would like to see Diddy go to prison for the rest of his life. But what do you guys think is going to be the likely outcome? In the event he is found guilty of at least, 2 charges for 10 years, do you think it's going to be a concurrent sentence where he only serves 10 years? Or do you think it'll be consecutive where it's 10 years and then 10 years again? What do you guys think? Let's see. Concurrent. Yeah, probably concurrent. I think it's very rare that they do consecutive, to be honest. This person says, no, Diddley will walk. You'll see. Why do you think he'll walk? I'll be very shocked. I think the transportation charges have already been proven. Why are people attacking in Canada when the United States is the leading country of pornography and child trafficking? We actually have it here in Canada as well. It doesn't get spoken about. We are at least 50 computer years behind the military technology. I agree. If you did a video on the links between Mark Carney and Ghislaine, would the Canadian police arrest you for hate speech? Probably not, but I do think that the YouTube algorithm would suppress the video and suppress my channel. So yeah, so going back, essentially, this week's testimony was a lot of just text messages, and they went over the timeline of the Intercontinental incident. So let me just pull up this article. Wasn't OF created in Canada? I believe P-Hub is actually Canadian. I'm not sure about OF. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. So we have. So this is the timeline that was presented in court for the jury as far as the summary. So we have, Sean Diddy Combs called Cassie Ventura 3 times around 11:36 a.m., but she didn't answer. She called him back twice shortly after, with each call lasting about a minute. So this was after this happened. This whole incident happened on March 5th in 2016. Combs then called her back 3 times without an answer and texted, "Call now." Cassie responded, "I went and checked everything and spoke to security." Jules left. So Jules is the escort that they were doing a Freakoff with the day that Cassie was running. Jules left, so you're good. And as long as you don't disturb the other guests, they'll leave you be. Diddy called her twice again shortly after, and she didn't answer. He then texted her, "Call me now. Call me. The cops are here." So Combs called her 3 times at 12:08 p.m. Shortly after sending the message, the first call lasted 18 seconds, while the other 2 were not answered. At 12:09 p.m., Cassie called Combs' former security guard, Damian Butler, who goes by D-Rock, for 22 seconds. Diddy texted Cassie, "You're going to abandon me all alone? Call me, please." And then Cassie responds, "I have a premiere Monday for the biggest thing I've ever done in my life. I have a black eye and a fat lip. It was time for me to go. You are sick for thinking it's okay to do what you've done. Please stay far away from me." Both Diddy and D-Rock, the security guard, called Cassie after the message, and she didn't answer. So at this point, Cassie's back at her apartment. So after this altercation happened where she got away, she goes to her apartment. Diddy's still left at the hotel, and he's trying to get a hold of her. So Diddy texts her, "I'm about to get arrested. Thanks." He called her again before texting her, "If you don't pick up, you'll never hear my voice again." So at 2:30 p.m., Cassie sent a text to Christina Karam. "This is crazy. He won't stop. Please tell him the neighbors are about to call the police." So at this point, Diddy's at her apartment. From her testimony a few weeks ago, she said that Diddy was banging on her door with a hammer. and her friend Carrie Morgan were inside the apartment. So the security guard texts KK, tell him he needs to get out of there before they call the police. And then Cassie texted Christina Karam, please take away whatever keys he thinks he has. So everything always goes to Christina Karam. Everything. Like, she was his caretaker, his everything. After more unanswered calls from Diddy to Ventura, Christina Karam texted her, talk to him. He promised me he won't go back over if you'll just talk to him for 5 minutes. And sorry, don't want to be in the middle. Just don't want him to go back over. Between 4:49 and 5:15, calls between Combs and Ventura connect for 18 and 10 minutes. So, and then this was, so there's more. At 5:52 p.m., KK texts Eli Maroon, which was one of Diddy's assistants. I'm going to ask just to cover damages. He wants to speak to Spanish security guy. So that was Eddie, who was the security guard working that day. Say they had a fun drunk night to try and get more info. LOL, no shot, they aren't playing nice, Maroon responded. Combs and D-Rock called Cassie several times between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. So they're trying to get a hold of her. She's ignoring them. So that's the gist of the timeline. I'm not going to go through all of that, but this particular incident is very important to the prosecution's case because they're trying to paint this specific incident as an instance of trafficking. You don't have to believe that she was trafficked every single time, but if it happened at least once, then that's a conviction. And so that's why they're very adamant on showing everything related to this incident, all the camera angles, speaking to the security guards, speaking to everybody who was there, showing the text messages. They're very adamant on driving the narrative home with this particular day because they're saying that this was a day where she was trafficked, and when she was trying to leave, that's when Diddy assaulted her. And one thing that I'm kind of surprised that they haven't leaned into more with the trial is the fact that Diddy was like having his staff hold her hostage at times, like keep her in hotel rooms for her nose to heal, for her black eye to heal, for a busted lip to heal. That many of the assistants have testified that they had to stay with her and make sure that she didn't leave, whether it was leaving his house or leaving a hotel room, make sure she didn't leave because Diddy didn't want her injuries to be seen by the public. And that's very important because as a celebrity, if it leaks to the press that you are on a regular basis beating your longtime girlfriend, that can affect his career. That affects his ability to make money. And so by holding her hostage in a hotel room, he is doing so to better his enterprise, his business, the Combs enterprise, right? Because everything is tied to his reputation. As celebrities, everything is tied to your reputation. If one thing happens, it could be like your whole career could be ruined. Like just look what happened to Johnny Depp. When Amber Heard made those accusations about Johnny Depp, it ruined everything for him. So someone like Diddy knows this, and that's the incentive for him to have his staff hold her hostage in hotel rooms until she heals. And I'm actually surprised that the defense didn't lean into that more because that also goes to RICO, because you're like you can't beat people up, like that's a crime, and you can't hold people hostage. That's also a crime. So I'm surprised that they didn't lean into that more instead of leaning into the trafficking. So yeah, that's just some of the highlights from the summary testimony. The other person who testified was Brendan Paul. Let me just give you guys a little reminder of who Brendan Paul is for when he got arrested. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up. Hold on. Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. So we have here this was taken back when Diddy's 2 properties were raided. So that was the news report from back when Diddy's homes were raided. So the charges ended up being dropped against Brendan Paul. Apparently, he only had a very small amount of I think it was cocaine. Yeah, cocaine on him, coke on him, and he had a good lawyer. He says those were his words. He said he had a really good lawyer, and he only had to do like a rehab program, and so it got taken off of his record. He says that he didn't snitch on Diddy. He took the rap for it and said that they were his because he didn't want Diddy to get in trouble. So he testified. Oh, you guys didn't hear anything? Were you guys able to hear the audio? Oh my goodness, you didn't hear anything. Hold on, give me 1 second. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hold on. Could you guys see it, but you couldn't hear, or was there nothing? Okay, I don't know what's going on here. It says no. No, it happens to the best of them. NissCee, no sound, no video. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, she could even. Oh my gosh, you could even see it. Okay. Well, it was just a news clip from when Diddy's houses were raided and Brendan Paul was arrested. Um, that is so. Hold on. This is not going to show. Hold on 1 second. I just want to show you guys to refresh your memory. I'm not going to play it again because I don't think it's going to play the audio. But let me just show you guys. Sorry, I'm still figuring out this technology, guys. Bear with me. Okay, remember this guy? Do you guys remember him? This is who I'm talking about. This guy who was arrested having Diddy's drugs on him. So he testified this week. I actually was surprised because we hadn't heard anything about him this whole time. And then all of a sudden he took the stand this week and he testified with immunity. So nothing that he admitted to could be used against him to try him in the court of law. And so his testimony is actually very, 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 very important for the RICO charge against Diddy. So Brendan says that he did kind of help Diddy a little bit, but he also hurt Diddy quite a bit. Brendan said that he worked for Diddy as an assistant starting from late 2022 after graduating college, and he stopped working for Diddy when he was arrested on March 25th, 2024 at the Miami airport. He says that he worked 80 to 100 hours per week, 4 to 6 days per week, and he was always on call. His starting salary was $75,000, and he later got a raise to $100,000. Now, the fact that he was working 80 to 100 hours per week, 4 to 6 days per week, it was important because the prosecution is trying to present that Diddy was doing forced labor. That a lot of his employees had forced labor. They had to work these really long hours. They had to do very unreasonable things outside of the scope of what their job should have been. And so that's why they keep asking these people how many hours they worked per week. He said that the day that he was arrested, he was on his way to a family vacation with Diddy when he was arrested for possession of cocaine. He said it was in my Goyard bag for personal assistant duties. Brendan said he was checking Diddy's room and he grabbed the coke to put it somewhere else, but he forgot to remove it from his own bag before leaving for the trip. Paul testified that he first heard about this job from Eli Maroon, who is one of Diddy's former assistants. So Eli Maroon had told him, if you take this job, just be aware that you can't have a girlfriend, you can't have family time, you're not going to have any personal time. This job is very demanding. So just be prepared for that. Brendan said he was okay with that. He took the job, and Eli had told him, like, just get in, get out, work for him for a few years, get your experience and get out. Brendan had said that he was interested in the music industry, so that's why he wanted to work for Diddy. In his first few weeks on the job, Brendan said he worked out of Diddy's LA home, and he mainly received instructions from the other assistants. He testified that he helped handle Diddy's travel, logistics, and packing. He helped Diddy with his fitness workouts because Brendan is an athlete. He helped him with meal plans and his music-related needs. He also said that he would pack Mary Jane in Diddy's garage. He said he traveled often for work, often going to destinations before Diddy to make sure that everything was just the way that Diddy liked it. He said that this is something he actually said on the stand, was that his job was just to make Diddy happy. Brendan said the longest period he worked without any sleep was 3 days. He took some naps in between, but essentially he didn't sleep he didn't get a full night's rest for 3 days. He said he took Adderall and Coke to get him to stay awake and alert throughout his time as an employee, because his job was so demanding. In late October or early November 2023, Brendan testified. Oh, so Brendan said that Combs had fired him 2 or 3 times, and he testified about one specific incident that stuck out in his memory. And this happened in late October or early November, and he testified that he forgot Diddy's Lululemon fanny pack when they went for a walk. And Diddy told Brendan, "I don't want to see your face," and he fired him. And he's like, "Tell Christina Karam you're fired." Christina Karam said, "Just lay low," so she didn't, end up firing him. She let him stick around for a little while. And then she gave him an assignment to set up Diddy's hotel room for a birthday Freakoff, and he did it. And basically, it was never addressed again. He got to keep his job, but he said Diddy was constantly threatening to fire him. And he'd only worked for Diddy for about 18 months. He said it also wasn't a thing to talk to human resources about any issues. He said if anyone had an issue, they went to either Diddy or to Christina Karam. And the jury also saw a photo that Brendan had taken of Tusi. Brendan said Diddy or another assistant would tell him to obtain drugs for Diddy. So a lot of his testimony was about drugs. A lot of it was about drugs. He testified that he would buy Mary Jane about every 2 months, paying $4,200 for 16 ounces. Now, I have to ask you guys, I don't smoke. Is that a lot of money? Like, is that a good price? $4,200 for 16 ounces of some Mary Jane. Here in Canada, it is legal. Weed is legal, but I don't buy it. I don't know how much it costs. That sounds like a lot of money to me. 16 ounces for $4,200. Like, is that normal? He said that he purchased the Mary Jane from Philip Pines. Philip Pines was the assistant I showed you guys in that video from 60 Minutes Australia. So a lot of the assistants had testified that essentially after he stopped working for Diddy, he was at the Connect to get some drugs. The jury saw messages from February 2024 between Paul, a drug dealer, and the other assistant, Jonathan Perez. So the dealer asked Paul, "Is it for you or Puff?" And then Brendan responded, "Puff, but please don't disclose that. You can tell whoever it's for me." So once again, just showing that Diddy's paid assistant, his bad boy employee, is procuring illegal drugs for him. And Brendan testified that there were times when he would have to get cash to make these purchases, and he would get the cash from Diddy's security guard. So everyone's participating in this. The security guards, the assistants, everyone's participating in this. Brendan testified that there were occasions where he had to clean up hotel rooms after Wild King nights. He said he understood that these events included partying, alcohol, sex, and drugs. He recalled seeing Jane at these Wild King nights. And he testified about a time when he was with her and they went shopping for an outfit for her to wear to a Wild King night. He sent Diddy a picture of her outfit, but Diddy never responded. Brendan testified that after Cassie's lawsuit, they stopped doing the freak-offs at hotels. They started doing them either at Diddy's house or at Jane's house, which could be seen as a admission, kind of like admission of guilt, because if what you're doing is not a problem, why stop doing them at hotels if everything that you're doing is above board? Brendan testified that he never saw anything illegitimate. He was just of the impression that this was Diddy's personal time with the girlfriends that he had. The day that they were arrested, they were on a private jet, and Brendan Paul had taken a picture, and the jury got to see that picture. On cross-examination, Brendan said he was willing to work long hours for Diddy, and he learned a lot from the exposure he got to the music industry. He said handling drugs was a minor part of the work he did for Diddy. He said he had spoken to Jane many times before and after Wild King nights, and he never got the impression that she was hesitant or was an unwilling participant. Brendan testified that when he was arrested with the small amount of cocaine, he had accidentally put it in his bag, and no one had instructed him to travel with it. So he said, and Diddy didn't tell him to do it. Christina Karam didn't tell him to do it. It was an accident. He didn't mean to leave it in his bag. On Recross, Brendan said that he knew sex was happening at the Wild King nights, but he didn't know definitively if anything illegal was happening. He was asked about how he feels about Diddy today, and he said it's complicated. The last person to testify was once again a summary witness, and this summary witness was presenting bank transactions, wholesale receipts, a lot of notes. I guess when the hotels would give invoices, they would give invoices saying what was damaged. The carpets were damaged, the linens were damaged, all damaged with baby oil. At one point, the carpets had been damaged with bodily fluids. I don't know what kind. Is it the yellow kind, the red kind, the white kind, the clear kind? I don't know, just bodily fluids. Just a lot. A lot of it was just receipts, invoices, text messages. I'm not going to go through all of them, but that essentially was what was testified to this week. The most interesting thing, in my opinion, was Brendan Paul, because Brendan Paul is talking about the movement of illegal drugs, and that is one of the predicate offenses listed under the RICO indictment. So, as a summary of what happened this week, I'm still surprised that I still see some people in the chat saying that they don't think Diddy will be found guilty of RICO. Who in the chat thinks Diddy will be found guilty of RICO, and tell me why? And who doesn't think he'll be found guilty of RICO, and tell me why? I am so curious to hear from you guys. I need to know. I need to know. Let me see the chat. Man Dowd says, yep, I got a celebrity crush with her. Oh, what is this name? I'm not even going to say that out loud. This person. Do you think Hollywood director James Gunn is a PDF file based on things he said, parties he's attended in the past? I got to be honest, I actually don't know much about James Gunn to comment on that. I have no idea. I'd have to look into that. This person said, all I'm hearing, he just a she-man and no crimes, still waiting. Do you not think that it's illegal to be having your staff transport cocaine, MDMA, to be beating up your girlfriend, to be setting people's cars on fire, to be bribing people, to be blackmailing people? You don't think any of those things are crimes? I love your show. Thank you so much, Data. Let's see. This person, he will be found guilty. He'll be found guilty, but he will be pardoned. Do you think Trump would pardon him? I don't think so. I don't think so. Michael Freeman says 50-50. You never know what a jury will do. At Samoan, POV may be representative of at least one juror. He could be. He very well could be. And the jury is mostly men. So I do think that I've seen a divide with how women look at this versus how men look at this. So it might, but I mean, I think the transportation to the transportation of prostitutes, there's no black and white. I mean, there's no gray area. It's very black and white. Either he did it or he didn't do it. These men were sex workers, and he paid for their tickets. And they've already shown the invoices. They show the itineraries. They show the text message conversations. They show these people in videos having freak-offs with Diddy. It is very black and white. These people were prostitutes. They were engaging in prostitution, and they traveled across state lines to engage in commercial sex work with Diddy, and whether it was Jane or Cassie or whoever, it happened. So he's going to be found guilty on that, hands down. Like, I don't see a way he can get away with that one. I don't see it. Everything else, there's some gray area, but not those ones. Not those ones. This person said, I bet Diddy walks because our judicial system is corrupt and RICO is a weird charge to go after a blackmailer sex trafficker with. It is unconventional. Usually it is something like drug dealers, the mob. It is typically those types of people that get RICO charges. I do think, being a little bit conspiratorial, I do think that Diddy's time is up as far as being protected. The industry protects people until they decide not to. And whoever he pissed off, whether it was Diageo, whether it was someone else, he pissed someone off and his protection has worn off. Like they're done protecting him. Diddy, Diddy, you ain't got no alibi. You guilty. You guilty. Trump is wild in his own way, but I don't see a pardon coming Diddy's way. I don't think so. I don't think he'll do it. Trump is very, he appears to do things like spontaneously, but I also don't think he's that naive to do something that might negatively affect his reputation. Like, he's already been accused of having some ties to Epstein. It wouldn't benefit him as far as his public image to pardon Diddy. And Donald Trump cares a lot about his public image. I don't think he's going to do it. Drugs and prostitution, no. Everything excessive violence on innocent people, yes. Crimes. The only people that would think Diddy did no crimes are the ones that are doing the same thing. Yeah, he'll be found guilty. We've come too far, and there's too much media coverage. Trump is wild in his own ways, but I don't see a pardon coming Diddy's way. Diddy did it. Good morning from Australia. You live shows watched last week. What time is it in Australia right now? It's 5:14 p.m. here in Ontario, Canada. Sorry, just joining. Do you know if Odie is in the Epstein files? I'm not sure. I don't believe so. I think the booze company just wanted to scare him and put him in his place. I don't think they're trying to bury him forever. Well, you know what? We're going to find out very soon. This week might be the last week of the trial. They might be wrapping early. So I've been coordinating to see if I can make it. I don't have a definitive answer yet. I was talking about it today. They're ending earlier than I thought they'd be ending. So I'm trying to figure out if I can make it there for maybe like closing arguments and then the deliberations and the verdict. We'll see. They want Diddy for one reason or another. Otherwise, this would have stayed on the DL. It was kept secret. It was kept quiet for so many years. He's been so freaking sloppy with it. I don't believe that he didn't have backing. 1,000%. 1,000%. And Whitney Webb did an article talking about the people who are backing Diddy, like Clive Davis and the people who were backing Epstein. And I was going to do a video summarizing some of the information that she discussed in her article. She's doing a series. It's supposed to be a 3-part series. The second and third part haven't come out yet, but she brought up a lot of really compelling information. And so I'm planning on doing a video where I talk about the people behind Epstein. There's no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein and Diddy knew each other directly, but they had a lot of mutual connections, a lot of the same business interests behind them. And there's a lot there. I'm not comfortable with Mark Garagos being involved with this case after Jonathan Odie mentioned him in that video a while back. Yep. And was it Mark Garagos that he accused of having something to do with Michael Jackson? I can't remember if it was Mark Garagos or a different lawyer that he had said in that interrogation video. That Aussie chick. It's 7 a.m. So you're an early bird. 7 a.m. in Australia right now. Well, thank you for joining the live so early. Hollywood has a different jurisdiction system than the common folks. OJ got away with yeah, he did. He sure did. But he was found guilty in civil court. But I do think that the O.J. Simpson trial is very different than what's happening right now, because with O.J. Simpson, at the time, the Black community in LA was very upset with the criminal justice system because the Rodney King incident had just happened. Everyone saw the videotape, and the police officers were not held accountable for their actions. So at the time, the Black community was pissed, and they didn't. I don't even think it's necessarily that the jurors necessarily thought OJ was innocent. They just were not going to convict a Black man, given the social climate at the time. And I think it's called jury nullification. Jury nullification, where the jury just choose to not find someone guilty for their own personal reasons. And that actually might happen with Luigi Mangione. Maybe not. I think the hype around what Luigi Mangione did has kind of died down. But definitely when it first happened, there was a distinct possibility that the jury might choose not to convict him because they're okay with what he did. 3:14 in Edmonton. Hello from Edmonton. 6:44 a.m. Sunday morning. It's 11 o'clock, 11:15 in South Africa. Hello from South Africa. Wow, we have people from all over the place. Did you get a chance to go to the Kendrick Lamar concert? You know what? I didn't go. And I was watching DJ Academics talk about it after it happened. And he made a very good point. In these diss songs about Drake, he is literally dissing Drake about being Canadian. He's making fun of the Toronto accent, saying Crody, blimey Crody, something, blimey Crody, like he's cheese and farm. He's literally making fun of the Toronto accent, and this man performed that song in Toronto in front of a Toronto crowd, and these people were cheering him on. I'm sorry, that's clown behavior. I personally I'm not like a Drake fan. I don't really care. I actually like Kendrick's music. If I were to have gone, I would have gone for SZA because I love SZA. SZA has a song called Saturn. I love that song. If none of you guys have listened to it, listen to it. I love SZA. SZA's very talented. I love SZA. I do like Kendrick Lamar. If I had gone, it would have been for SZA, but I didn't go. But I do think it's funny that Kendrick Lamar was literally dissing Drake's Canadian heritage, and the crowd was eating it up. There was kind of something funny about that. People were saying that people in Toronto don't have any loyalty. They don't have like a sense of unity, because if Drake was to do the same thing in reverse, let's say Drake had dissed Kendrick Lamar and they tried to perform a song in LA, making fun of LA and making fun of Kendrick, Drake would have got his ass kicked. He would have been booed off the stage, would have been throwing things at him. Like, people in LA wouldn't have allowed it to happen. People in Toronto don't have the same convictions. Everyone's been dancing on Drake's grave for months at this point. It's a sad state of affairs. But no, I didn't go. But I don't have anything against Kendrick Lamar, but I didn't go. I actually saw, what's his name? Teddy Swims. I saw Teddy Swims recently in Toronto, and he's very talented. He is very gracious. This is the first time I've ever seen a celebrity be so grateful and thankful to the audience. He was signing autographs in the middle of the concert. He's singing with the microphone in one hand and signing autographs in the other hand. He was a very nice person to see perform live, because I felt like he appreciated that we were there. I saw Mary J. Blige live a few weeks ago, or a few months back, and I was actually very disappointed because she looked like she didn't want to be there. She stayed all the way at the back of the stage, all the way in the back. I had pretty good seats that I could barely see her. So I was very annoyed. I was very disappointed. And Mary J. Blige is another person that has been partying with Diddy quite a bit. And I'm sure she's been involved in these Freakoffs and been involved in some other weird stuff. But yeah, 11 p.m. for the UK. This person's like 10:17 in the UK. Someone's lying. Someone's lying. Okay. Let's see. Edmonton here too. Okay. Let's see. The Diddy is going down because the major names that were mentioned in the Lil Rod case don't want the spotlight on them. Diddy is a sacrifice. Yes, I agree with that. I love his Loose Control song. I love that song too. Drake and Kendrick, two idiots cut from the same cloth. Time will forget them. That's a very strong opinion. Yeah. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. We've been on here for 1 hour and 21 minutes. This is my second time going live. Still a little bit nervous, but thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.